Woo!
Sorry.
Is that everyone? Okay, cool. Here, let me shut this off so it's not right here. All right, so there's no format here. This is completely unplugged. You can just literally dive in. Yeah, whoever wants to go first.
Well, one of the things Perry had brought up, the culture part of it. Mo Anderson holds that, and they had a 15-year-old boy up there that plays the harmonica. Well, he's very talented, and guitar, he sings, but he started out as an 8-year-old accidentally collecting money while playing his harmonica, and decided, he's like, I don't need this, and started donating his money to charities. And him and his mom took that and just blew it up, and that's basically what he does now. He goes around and talks to all these people about giving and sharing, and he's funny as heck. And it made me think, shame on me, because I'm not doing more in my community to bring value or something to people that need it. Whether it's money, whether it's something they need, or is it just me? Someone to talk to.
Yeah, and I think you're going to see that that value proposition really get push the gas down on KW, because now as they rewrite the Red Book, now the top level is not net $1 million, it's actually give $1 million. So they're really pushing hard on kind of that altruistic facet of business that we don't always think about. So.
What else? Obviously, we're there for some of you 3 days, some of you 2 days.
Yep. So I think one of the biggest things for me was just in talking about the shift. We've heard so long that winter is coming. Hold it really tight. And some of us, have tried to insulate our business by thinking one step ahead. And what they said is, you should always be living your business or always be running your business in the next phase of the market, right? So you should have been running your market like it's been shifting for the last few years now, or 1.5 years now at least.
So what does that mean?
So what it means is it really is the nuts and bolts, the lead generation, the consistent relationship building that will gain your market share, or gain you market share in the leaner times. He said essentially what's going to happen is it may not be a huge economic shift like it was last year or last time, just with unemployment rates, and he's not projecting interest rates to skyrocket at all either. But he said you're going to start to see buyer fatigue in a lot of these markets, and buyers just aren't going to pay the prices that the seller wants. And essentially, it'll be more inventory, longer days in the market. So start pricing your properties ahead of that and start having those conversations, right? So it may be so much as, when talking with someone who, well, we're thinking about listing in the spring, really just having a conversation based upon, the shift and what is coming in. Ask them what they think their property is going to be worth in the spring, right? Most of them will say, well, it's even in 2006, it's never been worth more than $240,000, and I paid a good amount, or I paid $190 for it. And just asking them follow-up questions like, well, do you see it ever being more than $200, or do you see it being more than $240,000 in the next year? Well, no, who knows what's going to happen in the election, whatever. Well, why not make that decision now instead of waiting and being affected by circumstances that are out of your control? Just escalating those conversations based around that shift to the next level to help you gain market share, to help your clients sign, to help make their decision to sign. So, anybody else?
I guess one of the big
Steven, it was your first time, right?
first time at
Yeah.
Camp,
Perfect.
yeah.
All right.
So big thing for me, Gary would bring out these mega agents one after another, just interview them in front of us and just seeing how they took their one or two things that they're doing for their business and how big they made it. There was one that her one thing was direct mail piece, and they asked their budget on it, and it was like $50,000 just on direct mail alone, and she was hitting all these neighborhoods. And just seeing how like big she taken. I mean, for a market here, you could hit like a little neighborhood of like 200 homes or something like that, but she was hitting thousands of homes every single month and sending out things, and the numbers she was getting was just crazy. So,
Yeah.
just seeing how big that they're thinking for all the things that we're doing, but we're hitting 10 different things rather than focusing in on
Yeah.
one or two.
Well, and to add to that too, I've had conversations with Ricky Kane in the past, who's one of the top agents in Austin. He said what they're doing is, with their geo farming, he said they bankrolled the first zip code. He said from there on out, each zip code should bankroll the next zip code. So your business essentially is just reinvesting in itself as it moves forward.
So, and to that point, she knew exactly the return she was getting on that expense though too, so every single panel member that was up there is, very dived into their numbers and what's producing and what's not.
Mm-hmm.
For me, Tony DeCello was up there a couple times, and one of the things that he hit me, and so whether it's you had a $4,000 month and that was your top month ever, or 20,000 or 100,000, that's the example he gave. He said, now there was a time, when you have your first $100,000 month, that was great, but then what happens when it's a $50,000 month? Well, it's still great, right? But you're left feeling disappointed, and it's not enough. And that's one thing I've really, gravitated towards with Ed Keller is, once your mind expands, it does not contract. But it's how do you get to the point of expanding your mind where, this is the new level of achievement that I can do, and I'm not okay doing less than that.
Yeah, set your standards. And then to tag on to that, it's easy for I think a lot of us as we continue to achieve more and more to live a lifestyle that dictates that. And one of the things that I found really intriguing is how they talk about as you insulate yourself from the exterior factors, you really need to scale back on your cost of sale, right? And what you're doing to procure each one. So you really need to take your expenses on a business level and map them out and figure out which ones you can start to cut and really start to drop your expenses, and ultimately that'll grow your profitability like crazy.
And who said that about Gary with the car he was driving? Who was calling on that? I want to share that.
It was Jay.
Jay,
or
Was
Tony?
it, was it Jay that brought it up? Because
Yeah.
Gary doesn't bring it up. But Jay Papazan was like, yeah, and Gary, up until, what was it, 5-6 years ago, you were driving a Ford Taurus. And about 2 years ago, he was driving a Ford Escape. And then, but Gary had to add a hybrid.
Yeah.
And he said, I did replace all of the seats inside.
I couldn't get black, and I wanted black.
All
Yeah, so
black.
nearly a billionaire in driving a Ford Escape.
So, who in this room accepts referrals? Some of you don't. That's surprising. So one of the things that I thought was really funny was, or a good idea, was to cross-promote your referral sources among your social networks. So even if it's a referral from one of your allied resources, making sure that not only thanking them, but actually putting it out there on your Facebook site. Hey, I just got a referral from, ABC Carpet, in Elk River. These guys are great. I know they've done some stuff for a bunch of my clients. If you have any questions, please call Paul at 763, whatever. Just making sure that you're putting other people out there and adding value to as many of those different referral sources as possible. Not only that, but people move across country all the time. I mean, how many friends do you have that, they started in Elk River, but now then they moved to Des Moines, then they moved to Colorado, and now they're somewhere else, Making sure that, when you send an outbound referral, just say, hey, I just did a great deal with, you know, Kristen Wilhelm in Dickinson, North Dakota, and it was phenomenal. She took such great care of these people. If you guys have any questions about moving out of state, you know, let me know and I can connect you to the right people. It does one of two things, right? It pats their butt a little bit because they did such a great job, and it lets them know that you have a referral partner in that person. And it also tells the people who are looking at those posts that if by chance they're gonna move, they should be calling you, because now you're not only the local market expert, you can be the one that can connect them to a trusted agent across the country. So just continue to cross promote, not only agents, but businesses and everyone else on your social media sites.
Another thing I'd like to share is just getting to know Keller Williams for what it is by going to these events.
Mm-hmm.
So for those of you that aren't up here, I encourage you to be the people that are up here now, next year. So start budgeting for it and go. You shared a great comment today, Perry, in our ALC meeting about not going and actually having us come up here and talk about the event to you is a little like us going to a concert, you know, of a great singer that you love and coming back and trying to sing you a couple songs. Right? It's not the same. And so it's one of the reasons that I invested to bring a lot of my team down so that they could experience that. So Morgan, if you could just take a minute and talk about maybe just how the
I love talking
culture, yeah, but something about the culture that struck you.
Yeah, that was the biggest thing to me, I think, is getting a feel for the company that I work for. Hearing Gary speak, I don't know, it just felt really down to earth to me, so I appreciate it.
With 12,000 people.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah, the accessibility of everyone
Right,
in the leadership is just
and
incredible.
very humble too. That's
Mhm.
what I like.
Yeah. So, from an agent level perspective, the CGI is not going away, right? 60% of the people in our office have signed up. It should be at 100, and people will rebel against it. It's not going away. They're gonna make this tool better and better and better and get higher and higher levels of technology for the agents in the system. So don't reject the technology that they're putting into your pocket, right? Use it to your advantage, right? The systems and tools that KW is moving forward with are gonna be systems and tools that help you make more money. You're gonna make sure that you have better track of your numbers, and they're gonna be tools that, yes, they'll adapt, because all good companies adapt, right? All companies that have longevity adapt. So adopt them early and stick with them, because ultimately it'll just mean that you're gonna have a better grasp of your numbers and a better grasp of your own personal business, and therefore you'll be able to grow it, right? Because if you don't know the score of your own ball game, you're not even on the field.
What was the app that you had, that you said you've been using that they just rolled out with?
Profit
Dash.
The Profit Dash that they just came out with, where
It's
you can
amazing.
just track basically all your numbers, and it's all right there on your phone, whether it's your expenses, your profit loss, like everything.
Mhm.
that they just
Track your
rolled out.
mileage.
Yeah.
So I posted that in the Facebook group. So a couple comments on here, what Eric just said is, so they announced essentially, we're no longer a real estate company, which is kind of funny because we always will be, but we are a technology company. And they're investing heavily in all things technology. Everyone can safely say Keller Williams technology over the past 10 years that I've been here has been average. Literally, whether it be e-edge or your websites or whatever, it's been average, and they know that. Basically, they said that our commitment moving forward is we're not judging ourselves versus the other real estate companies. We're comparing ourselves to Google, Apple, and Netflix. That's our new bar. So, Chris Heller, the CEO, literally, he said 90% of what he's working on is technology. And their goal is to solve every problem in this industry in regards to technology. So if you're using Top Producer or some other program, they want it to get to the point where you'll use only Keller stuff because it's superior versus everything. And they know today it's not there, and they want us to take this journey with them and help it become better. So it is super exciting. I feel like we're just beginning. What's fun about having, we are up in growth in the past 5 years, 92%.